For those of you still lambasting me for supporting the Inflation Reduction Act, well, actually, I don't support the act. I don't know what it's all about, to be honest, but for supporting the part that I know about and agree with, which is sponsoring and helping to fund electric car manufacturing, renewable energy manufacturing in the US, well, here is yet another good story, another outcome of this act. Frankly, the outcomes are coming thick and fast. I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. In fact, nowhere near. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans, and I'm coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where I believe we should be doing something similar to the United States. And I've talked about that on this channel before. I've talked about how, for those of you who are not aware, the biggest states here in Australia have decided to tax electric vehicles. Seriously, to charge a tax on every kilometre you drive in your EV. Now, there's a lot of Aussies who are like, yeah, this is great, I support this, wonderful. I don't know why. For some reason, that's partly the culture here in Australia, to just simply agree with the government, go along with what they say, not to question anything. For some reason, that is the position we're in right now. No one is really fighting the fact that we're taxing a way that we can actually have cleaner air. And I think it's because people don't realize what's going on, which is they're being poisoned every day, literally poisoned. I mean, think about it. 90% of the Australian population lives in cities, same with Americans. But I think it's even worse for Australians because we're concentrated all on the eastern seaboard, primarily just in 3 main cities. And the truth is, there's massive amounts of pollution in these cities. People are actually getting very sick from this pollution. They're just not aware what's causing it. They're not aware that it's coming from pollution from things such as truck exhausts, vehicle exhausts, diesel and gasoline fumes poison people. They kill many hundreds of thousands of people every year. Now, there's new research proving all of that, and I've made videos talking about that as well, but no one seems all that interested in knowing why they're maybe dying faster than they might otherwise be. So that's why I strongly support this. I support the electric revolution primarily for the practical reason that I don't like being poisoned. I don't like my kids being poisoned. And if I wind my car window down, I can smell the poison that I'm drinking in. It's everywhere. So a good result of this new Inflation Reduction Act is the fact that Kia are going to produce electric vehicles in the US. And it's happening pretty quickly. I mean, they've just announced it, right? I think it was a week ago, 7 days ago, which was the 19th of September 2022 in the US, so the 20th of September in Australia. And they're saying they'll be able to produce these electric vehicles by 2024. So, I mean, that's about a year and a half's time that these electric vehicles will be made in America instead of South Korea. And in fact, not just made in America, but production will be increased because clearly Kia see a key reason to do so. There's incentives for them to make them there. Now, the thing that's worth keeping in mind is that these incentives benefit battery companies as well. You've got SK Innovation, right? You've got LG Chem or LG Energy Solutions, who are partnered with General Motors. SK partnered with Ford. And then, of course, Hyundai Grobus, one of the biggest parts manufacturers in the world. They provide General Motors with a lot of electric vehicle parts as well. And the list goes on. Kia are only one of a number of manufacturers, including Mercedes, who are going to produce EVs as a result of this new act in the US. So Kia is going to start producing the EVs in 2024 to qualify for the tax credits. And interestingly, this was according to a Korean news media. So clearly the Korean news media found out about this before the US media did, which I thought was kind of funny. And that's how we've all learned that Kia isn't going to invest billions of dollars into the American economy, which I think's fantastic, considering American policymakers have been basically funding their automotive industry for the last couple of years, giving them free tax credits for their EVs when they don't give them to GM and Tesla. So there's that, right? Now, the report is light on details, so we don't exactly know how much they're going to be investing, but we do know it's happening. The climate provisions of the new Inflation Reduction Act included a huge change to the EV tax credit, both expanding its application to make it available for 10 more years and simpler to claim for consumers. It will be available at a point of sale starting in 2024. That's going to make it a lot easier, right? Point of sale rather than having to go through applications and processes and wait till tax time and all that kind of stuff, right? That's a big benefit. The intent of the law is not just to take action on climate change, but to boost American manufacturing in the green energy space. Very important, right? Rather than sending it to Mexico, which is what Ford and General Motors have been doing. I don't think it's controversial of me to say that because it's simply a fact. The idea is to keep it in the US. So the changes also include some new provisions that make foreign-built electric vehicles ineligible for the credits. The main limiting provision is a requirement that EVs undergo final assembly in North America in order to qualify for the credits. So realistically, if you think about it, the Mustang Mach-E, it doesn't qualify, right? Ford's Mustang Mach-E, it does not qualify. It's built in Mexico. So you've got to think about this when you're considering investing in Ford or General Motors or whoever it is. What are their future costs? What are their future costs? They have to do something. Well, obviously, Ford has to transition to building EVs in the first place. I mean, obviously, more than 90% of its global production right now is gasoline-powered vehicles. They've got to start building its factories, investing in all that. But then, what are they going to do with their facilities in Mexico? They're going to keep building EVs there that they can't ship to America. Well, I'm sure they can ship them to America, but obviously, it'll be hard for them to compete on price with a $7,500 disadvantage. But it actually could be more than that $7,500 if you include some of the other incentives involved in the bill as well. General Motors, could the same thing happen to them? I'm not sure. But this provision was actually set to take effect on the day the law was signed, leading to a mad dash to lock in the old credits on foreign assembled cars before the law was enacted. So this actually shows you just how important these credits are. And if you actually start to have a look at the profit margins on vehicles, period, in the global automotive industry, it's actually quite tight. Average profit margins are 8 to 10%. They're not very big. If you think, what's the cost of an average sale of a car? If it's $40,000 US, that means average profit margins are really only $4,000 per car. $7,500 there is a huge, therefore, is a huge amount of money. Now, there are other requirements based on battery material sourcing, but those haven't yet been finalized. Basically, the government wants the materials to be mined and refined, and then the batteries to actually be built in countries that, have deals with America or are friends with America, or countries like Canada that are close by and they think aren't really, out to sort of attack America, which I think America feels that way to some degree about China. The government has released and is updating a list of vehicles eligible for EV tax credits. Right now, no General Motors vehicles and no Tesla vehicles qualify for the $7,500 tax credit, but vehicles made by BMW, Audi, Nissan, Volvo, and Mercedes all qualify for tax credits. So that's the situation we're in right now. I think it's going to be really good once that changes. And the early adopters, obviously GM and Tesla are no longer being punished for adopting EVs early or selling EVs before everyone else did. The great thing about this law is we've seen proof that it's working. Since the law was signed, many manufacturers have already announced US manufacturing facilities or have brought forward plans to build their EVs in the US. For example, Hyundai is accelerating its timeline to build EVs in the US. Volkswagen signed a memorandum of understanding with Canada to source EV battery components like nickel and lithium. Mercedes-Benz has a dedicated battery plant in the US at its Georgia facility. Plus, they'll be mining lithium in North America as well. Honda is partnering with LG Energy to invest $4.4 billion in a new US battery plant. Panasonic announced its second battery cell factory location will be in Kansas. Tesla is planning for a lithium refining factory in Texas. Now, this is just some of the investments happening. However, Hyundai, which manufactures gas cars in the US and was planning possibly maybe to build EVs here, announced last month it will speed up its timeline and make more EVs here than it had originally planned. Hyundai and Kia are related companies, of course. Each of them own a stake in the other. Though that said, Hyundai is by far the bigger brother of the two. So it's not surprising that Kia would make a similar announcement soon after Hyundai made an announcement about their EV manufacturing in the US. I have to say, I'm impressed with the fact that this Inflation Reduction Act has inspired immediate change from car manufacturers, not just from car manufacturers, but from industry, from mining. The list goes on and on and on. I've only listed some of them here, otherwise I thought you might get bored, but I'll make a new video. If you guys want it, I'll make a video listing everything that I think's been affected. And I'm talking, this is going to be hundreds of billions of dollars of investment, maybe more. It's massive. I'm actually quite surprised by just how quickly this is having a reaction on the industry. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you surprised, or is it just me? I mean, am I just like naive on this? I'm not sure. Maybe I am. As always, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.